Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out getgoodracing.com. I've coached hundreds of drivers, from real-life racers to sim enthusiasts, who experience rapid improvement after just one session. And while investing in top-notch hardware is great, imagine how much more you can elevate your experience by adding coaching to the mix. My methods are practical, aiming to break down complex concepts into easily digestible bits that are simple to understand. You can find reviews of the sessions I've conducted on the Fiverr link provided in the video description. Let's elevate your racing skills together.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Inca Salsa League Zero Super Formula Series here at Watkins, Glen. It's looking to be another great race. We've got a packed field, 22 drivers coming out, and as always, guaranteed to be a good show. As always, I'm your host, James Eastwood, Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, breathing action 1080p, 60 frames a second, and accompanied by the world-famous Alabamian, Norman King. Welcome back up to the booth. You ran production last week, but it seems like you get to enjoy the show a little bit more this time around.
Yes, I will apologize to all the fans out there for my terrible production, but I will be back in the booth and running the paddock and getting drivers' interviews for you tonight to keep you all updated on the live action.
Looking forward to another great show. Let's run through the grid starting on pole. It's Ray Aguilar, Finley Fitzsimmons starting second, Jaden Calloway starting third. We've got AJ Brenner starting fourth, Craig Brick starting fifth, Elliott Cott starting sixth. And a little bit further back, Michael Fairchild starting 7th, Antonio Bianchi, the Italian Stallion, starting 8th. We've got Nick Peterson starting 9th, Shazi Zuhair starting 10th, Jace Meyer starting 11th, Christian Judskins starting 12th, cycling it on back, Matt Foster starting 13th, Gareth McAllister, the world-famous Aussie, starting 14th, Leo Dalmas, the smooth-talking Frenchman, starting 15th. Eric Guillory starting 16th. Felipe Ramos starting 17th. Peter Renger starting 18th. Xavier Zanave, the flying Frenchman, starting 19th. Jason Bagby starting 20th. And David Iezzi starts 21st. And finally, Brian Dawson will round out the 22-car grid here today. Norman, a very packed grid here at Watkins Glen. Nice to see it. I think one of the biggest grids we've had in the last 2 or 3 rounds.
Yes, I'm very excited. This is one of my actual favorite tracks actually in the world. This is a bucket list track of mine. I wish they were running the chicane, but I get why they're not in open wheel cars. So we'll see how it pans out tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how this one's going to be. I'm hoping that we're not going to have a stereotypical turn 1, lap 1 incident with these drivers, especially with a good grid. I'm looking forward to some great racing. Looks like the field is set as we're going to get ready for the lights to come on and turn off here at Watkins Glen. Keep an eye out. Ray Aguilar, Finley Fitzsimmons separated by just a few hundredths of a second in qualifying. But away we go. And already,
cars spinning off a bad start.
That was Peter Rettinger, Matt Foster.
Yeah, Matt Foster got a bad start and got rear-ended on the side, on his right side, and ended up spinning him right across in front of Peter.
Whoa, and now we're going to have more collisions. Fitzsimmons into the wall right in front of the field. It's going to be a huge pile up here at Watkins Glen. The safety car is deployed, and we are going to scatter bodywork to the racing gods. They're still crashing.
There was some ARCA braking, and I don't know who it was. But I was on Izzy, and he was slowing up, and a car just flew by him right into someone else.
Well, let's get the replays queued up here. We're going to start things off. The starting line crash. We're focusing on Matt Foster. Doesn't get a good launch. Loops the car out right in front of traffic. And then let's pan up to the second crash. We're focusing on Finley Fitzsimmons here. I'm trying to see, Norman, where the contact was made. He pulls up alongside, and I think That Callaway? It must have been Callaway. And look at this. As you said, the ARCA brake's in full effect. There was one of the Inca Salsa drivers. Didn't have a hope of a prayer coming through there. Fitzsimmons keeps getting slammed like a screen door as the crash just keeps happening. And man, that is an extremely large part of the field that is no longer going to be competing for this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough night for a lot of these guys. They take an early tow back, as they'll have to try to regroup for the main event tonight.
So let's take a big breath and let you know what drivers are back in pit road. Here we go. It's Philly Fitzsimmons, Jaden Callaway, Jace Meyer, Matt Foster, Gareth McAllister, Leo Delmas, Eric Guillory, Felipe Ramos, Peter Redinger, Jason Bagby. Inhale. All being retired early here. So that is going to leave just over half the field still out on track. 12 drivers remain for this sprint. And luckily, Norman, drivers kind of before the show were saying, hey, we don't think 12 laps is going to be enough. But with the safety car being deployed, they might be thankful for a shorter race.
With them saying they didn't want to they said 12 laps is going to be really quick. It's going to be really balls to the wall now to try to get a some positions here, as I think Dawson's having issues. He's pulled off to the side of the track and has stopped.
The 89 machine. Trying to get a camera angle. Looks like the car is fine.
He might be having technical issues. He's getting back rolling now. As I'm going to try to see if some of these guys want to give us some insight on what happened on that wreck.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to hop down there with the drivers as well, pull them up to the waiting room whenever you're ready. That'll work fine. And you've got well, if anybody's in a public channel, I don't think they are, unfortunately. But hey, we've got options now. About 9, 10 drivers who all of a sudden have more opportunity to hang out with us.
Yeah. I'll be right back. I'm going to run down to the paddock. Are we going? Nope, we're going to go another lap, it looks like. Yep.
Looks like Brian Dawson has caught up to the field here. Ray Aguilar will be leading the restart with AJ Brenner in second. Fastest lap of the race currently held by Brian Dawson. Got down to a 2-minute 44.14 as we're here under iPacing conditions.
Yeah, it looks like they're all hanging out in the Avanti Auto Sports paddock spot, and they're not letting me in. I don't have permission to go into that paddock spot.
Can't have anything nice around here, can we?
No. Try to do a good job around here, and... Oh, Dalton stopping again. He's got to be having technical issues. Oh, here we go. I think we got Gareth here. Gareth, can you give us some insight on what happened there coming down the straightaway?
Yeah, hi James, hi Norman. Look, it was just a bit of calamity, to be honest. I'm not quite sure what happened up front, and I will own up to the fact that I could have broke probably a little bit earlier than I did, and I slammed on the brakes to try and avoid running into Finley. And unfortunately, Jace was on my right, so he had nowhere to go, and it seemed like it just collected Leo as well, because as I hit the brakes, the car locked up and just jerked to the left, and I just I hit him as well. So I'm really sorry to those guys, and just I'm not sure what happened. I know off the start line there was some calamity behind me, and then on the straight it just seemed to not work out too well at the front. And I guess that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Well, how are you going to regroup and get ready for the main event tonight?
Well, it's a good question, and I think the solid answer to that one is going to be that I just take it easy and stay at the back for at least the first couple of corners and adjust myself, try to keep clean, and see how we can go from there. Because that seemed like that took quite a few drivers out. So the important thing is to try and be as clean as possible coming into the big long feature race at the end of the night.
Well, we thank you for taking some time out as you get ready for this main event, and good luck for the rest of the night. Anyone you would like to thank before you get out of here?
Oh, I'd like to thank you for showing up for once, Norman. No, no, it's I'd like to thank everyone as always, but it's been awesome, and I'm gonna miss the booth. I think next season because that's big news. So hopefully we'll get, if not both of you, one of you in here again at some point, because it's been great fun watching back, and I hope everyone at home is enjoying the show as well.
Well, we thank you. Good luck in the main event as we're fixing to go green.
Cheers, guys.
Here's Gareth. Norman, gotta love that kid's attitude each and every week, even when things go terribly wrong, still at the right spirit. But we're green flag racing once more at Watkins Glen. It's Aguilar with his satellite teammate AJ Brenner in tow, Craig Brick third, Elliot Conti, Nick Peterson now up into the top 5 in the abbreviated field and abbreviated sprint. I mean, what was already a short sprint is whittled down to 8 laps, and we're going to try and watch the number 1 of Aguilar and the number 80 of Brenner try and build up a gap here.
Yeah, it looks like we got a battle coming. I think they say coming in the chicane. Got to keep reminding myself we're not in it. We don't have a chicane, as you got Zuhair trying to go around the outside of Antonio and is not going to be able to hold the position.
Yeah, a lot of side-by-side shenanigans here. I would have thought drivers would be a little bit more careful after seeing so many of their racing friends leaving the sprint race early, but there's the 2 teammates, Peterson and Bianchi, going side by side. I just heard somebody losing it. I think that was Brian Dawson. Yes, it was. The number 89 goes for a ride. Looks like he kept it off the wall, though, and it is a meat grinder here around the 6th place spot. Zuhair and Bianchi really going at it. Fairchild right in tow as well, trying to get back to his teammate Zuhair. So a lot of team action going on here at Watkins Glen as Brenner and Aguilar continue to lead up front, but right now it seems like all the action's from about 6th place back here.
Yeah, it's very exciting here. It looks like Antonio was trying to look around Zuhair, but didn't scare him enough to get the run, as he's going to fall back into line as we come back up the hill and see if Antonio can get the draft and get the run as they come up the hill.
And Antonio surely knows that Zuhair's teammate Fairchild right behind, but here we go, side by side for 6. While this is going on, we're side by side for the race lead. We're also side by side for 4th with Peterson and Brick. So everybody's trying to find a dance partner here at Watkins Glen, funneling back into the sweeping right-hander. Aguilar holds onto the race lead here, panning back up to AJ Brenner right in 2nd. Elliot Conti having a good showing as well, the number 23 machine. His teammate Fitzsimmons having to retire early, but he's still carrying the flag proudly up in that podium position for the British team.
Yeah, as we have a little moment to breathe before we get back to the going up the hill in the straightaway where the draft is, Fitzsimmons did claim that wreck was his fault. He thought he was clear and was not. So good by him to take full blame. He says he's going to be more careful in the next race, to be more aware of his surroundings.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting as well. So Fitzsimmons already out of the race. I'm sure he'll receive a qualifying ban for that one in the future, judging by penalizations we've seen in the past. The lap time's dropping off here. Aguilar has about a 7/10 gap, but I'm curious here, how far do you think, Norman, can AJ Brenner still be back from the race leader and get the tow here? I think the question is answered. 3/4 of a second, and he's closing the gap rather quickly.
Yeah, I would say a second, 2 seconds to a second and a half, you're going to get a draft. I think these guys are going to have to play this strategically like they do in Formula 1, and you've got to time that final pass out perfect to take this win or any position you're trying to gain here late in this race.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. It's a game of cat and mouse, and we always joke on the oval side of things, you don't want to be leading on the white flag lap. I think that's going to be a similar story here at Watkins Glen, where the draft is just so tough to break. And I'm predicting that Elliott is going to start interjecting himself into the party here. He did it the lap prior, looking to the inside line of Brenner, and wasn't quite able to make the pass cleanly, opted to back out of it a little bit, but I think he's going to be hunting for a race win here.
You know, it'll be interesting to see if these guys up front will play team orders and try to have one of them back up Elliott to guarantee their win and sacrifice a second place and just take the third place for the team championship.
Yeah, exactly. Team orders that play here. Elliott sitting in third. Looked off the fastest clean lap of the race on 122.76. Greg Brick running in fourth, also a very fast lap on 122.77. So a few of these drivers starting to wake it up, and here we go, the battle for second. Elliott pulls out alongside Brenner. Brenner's using the draft off his teammate to keep Elliott at bay, and that is a good use of alliances here in a draft-heavy track. The two satellite teams, first and second, working that draft together. That's keeping Elliott at bay. He can't break around him.
Yeah, it's very, very smart to be using that as an advantage. Going back, as I misspoke, I keep forgetting that this is an alliance, not a teammate. Unfortunately, Ray lost his teammate early on in that race, so Ray is actually using his alliance to help him out here tonight, and I think this alliance is going to pay off.
Yeah, I think you're right. I wasn't really expecting that to be that much of a factor. But it seems like that is definitely going to be moved. Now, we're going to pan a little bit further back to Craig Brick sitting in fourth. Brick being chased by Peterson, Zuhair, Bianchi. You've got Fairchild as well as Judkins in this freight train. Now, I think once we get down, we've only got 4 laps left to go. But I think once we get on the white flag lap, you're going to see a lot of drivers being a little bit less cautious and maybe a little bit more apt to try and make an aggressive pass.
Yeah, I agree. I think tonight 2 cars is going to be much stronger than 1 car. It's going to be interesting how they play this in these final 4 laps. As Antonio looks like he's going to lose the position to Fairchild as they go down the straightaway, but Antonio is going to use the draft. Fairchild's teammate's not going to help him out and keep Antonio on the inside. He should be able to hold off Fairchild. But it looks like Antonio got a little loose coming out of the carousel.
Yeah, this is a track and a circumstance where any little mistake is going to make it very difficult to work your way back up if somebody's gotten around you and they're able to pick up a draft off the driver in front. Speaking of up front, AJ Brenner up into the second place spot. Excuse me, still in the second place spot, but now having to defend a lot more heavily against the number 23 machine, Aguilar. We didn't think it was possible here. Watkins Glen has broken away by 1.3 seconds. So he's going to get a breakaway, and I'm going to be curious. I don't know if Brenner and Cotty are going to close up to him as they keep up the side-by-side foray here.
I don't think Brenner's going to use Elliott to try to catch back up to him. I think he's just going to battle him, and knowing that the more they battle, the slower they're going to be, and Ray's going to be able to pull away from here. But I could be completely wrong. Satellite teams can get a little hungry and say, hey, you know what? He's not my teammate. I want the win. I'm going to go after it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. 1.9 seconds about separating Aguilar, the two drivers side by side in the battle for second. I also saw Peterson, Zuhair, and Bianchi hinting at some 3-wide action. Look at this flying formation here. You've got Peterson and Zuhair, as well as Bianchi and Fairchild. Everybody going side by side. I think I saw a little bit of a lockup there, maybe from Fairchild.
Yeah, it looked like Fairchild, Antonio was going to try to squeeze Fairchild, and it looked like they were about to make contact, but Fairchild, very smart, backed out, knew that he couldn't hold him, that Antonio had position on him, so they'll keep racing. And you've got Christian coming into this battle too.
Yeah, with the drivers slicing and dicing right ahead of him, Judkins finally getting a little bit more opportunity here. And really, Norman, one little mistake could put Judkins, a mistake from the other drivers could put Judkins up into a top 5 quite quickly. I mean, we saw 10 drivers get collected on the opening lap here. It's still not late enough in the race to say there's not going to be no more big incidents. Here comes the send from Shazi Zuhair. A little bit of contact with Peterson. All is fair in love and racecraft. That's going to put the two teammates, Peterson and Bianchi, side by side. A bit of a sandwich between Zuhair and Fairchild. Fairchild looks for an opening, wasn't quite there. We're 3 wide at Watkins Glen. The blocking is enforced. The two teammates have synced up. Here we go, Norman. We've got a race on our hands.
I was just about to ask, what is the rule on blocking?
Frowned upon, I think.
Because that was clearly a block. I think Fairchild made the move and Antonio reacted to Fairchild's move. I know in IndyCar that would be classified as blocking, but I do not know if you're allowed one move in this league.
Yeah, I'll have to research that as well. So the battle for 5th continues to heat up. Zuhair holding on to it. Just about 3/10 up over Bianchi. But again, there's Fairchild, Peterson, Juskins all in the fray. Your race leader, Aguilar, has checked out here. He's 2.8 seconds up over the rest of the field as Brenner and Conti continue to battle for the 2nd place position. And let's go ahead and pan over to that battle for 2nd as they charge up the hill here at Watkins Glen. Aguilar not even in frame at this point. Look at that, Craig Brick. He's going to be within the draft here. He suddenly has a podium shot.
Yeah, for anyone wanting to know what else is going on, it looks like the guys in the back are going to stay pretty calm this time. It looks like the battle is 4th, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th right now.
Oh, this is going to be good. Rick has worked his way a 2-for-1 up into the 2nd place spot. Ellie and Brenner will now be battling for 3rd as Bianchi comes out on top after the stretch, and he's going to be holding on to a top 5, still chased by Zuhair, Fairchild, and Peterson. But Norman, we are unfurling the white flag at the start-finish line, so if drivers are going to try and make some big moves, they are rapidly running out of time to make it happen. As it looks like Aguilar leading the field, 2.3 seconds, has backed off the pace ever so slightly. But man, I'm very impressed with Brick's driving here. The number 7 up 3 spots, made a 2-for-1 pass. And now looking to be in a very good position.
Yeah, he's got a good distance here coming into turn 1. The draft's gonna be there, but does Elliott have enough time to make it work? By the time he catches them, they're gonna be going into the carousel. And he has to also worry about AJ coming up from behind.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Brick making a 2-for-1. That means either Elliott or Brenner could also repay the favor here. Well, that's
oh, that was in the grass.
Yeah, Elliott no longer cares. He saw Brick taking some evasive maneuvers ahead and said, you know what? I'm coming by one way or the other. So that puts Elliott back up in the 2nd place spot. Brick gets relegated back to 3rd. What's going to happen here? We've got a little bit less than a half lap left to go at Watkins Glen. It's Aguilar, Conti, Brick, 1, 2, 3. Brenner and Bianchi rounding out the top 5. And looks like Brenner briefly made a move up into 3rd. Can he defend it? Looks like he can. So Brick falls back to 4th here.
I don't think this battle's over just yet. Yes, it is now. It looked like Brenner got a little loose coming out, back out onto the main track out of the boot. But he's going to hold him off. He went a little deep in that turn in the boot, that right-hander, but able to hold him off. You're going to have Aguilar, Conte, Brenner as your top 3.
Yeah, tip of the hat as well. Antonio Bianchi able to bring home a P5 out of that one. Trailed by Shazi Zuhair, Michael Fairchild. Hard charger of the race, though, David Iezzi, number 29, up 11 spots, working his way up into a top 10 as Antonio Bianchi celebrates in his own special way, giving a little bit of a tail tap to Aguilar.
I'm just glad these guys have a lot of money to destroy these $1 million machines and just pull out a new one for the next race.
Yeah, good for them.
You know, I wish I had race funding like that.
We're going to try and get these top 3 drivers up here into victory lane, where Norman will ask them a question, I will ask them a question, and then Norman will ask them about their sponsors, as we are waiting for Aguilar, Cotti, Brenner to make their way up here. I know we've got Elliott hanging out. So we're waiting on Brenner and Aguilar now. We'll be able to get the podium interviews started. And don't forget to the fans, we're running these brief podium interviews, a very brief intermission, and then we're going to send these drivers right back out on track. A little bit of a chance for redemption here as we get ready for the feature event. Looks like we're getting drivers cycling in, Norman. So we're going to start things off with Mr. AJ Brenner, bringing it home in third. AJ, welcome back to the top 3.
Appreciate it, James.
Hey,
It was,
AJ. Go ahead.
How you doing, Norman?
Doing well. Sorry.
That's all good, man.
So I noticed there going in the final lap in turn 8, you ran a little deep on brick. Was that a planned move, or was that just a mistake that you're able to hold off coming back out of the boot from him getting back onto you?
Oh, on the last lap? Oh, that was just me absolutely sending it. I was just hoping that I could make the corner. You got a little bit of runoff on the side that's not an off track, so was hoping I could just stay in front of him and hold that inside line, and worked out. Got back to P3. It was a fun little drag back and forth between me and Elliott the whole race, so fun time.
Well, AJ, after the massive back-to-back win last week, it's got to feel good to have yet another podium added to the stats. And with this good result, it's going to kind of hopefully push you a little bit ahead of the meat grinder here at Watkins Glen. What's the plan for surviving the opening lap here?
Avoid the British is my plan.
Been my plan for years, AJ.
America.
Amen.
Brenner, who would you like to thank as you take the first step on the podium here tonight in the sprint race?
I'll just give a shout out to Squid Gang Racing, always helping in the background. Hopefully Jaden's able to get through a race this time. He's had a rough season so far, so I was looking out for him this one.
Well, hey, AJ, always a pleasure, buddy, and best of luck in the feature.
Thank you.
That was AJ Brenner bringing it home in the third place spot. Up next, the British are coming. The British are coming. It's Elliott Cotti bringing it home in second. Elliott, welcome back to the top 3, bud.
Hello, yeah, good to be back. I missed last week 'cause my computer broke, but, back here now.
Well, Elliott, great race there. I noticed that you battled with AJ there early in the race, letting Ray get away. Do you have anything for Ray if you can stay in his draft for the main event tonight?
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, AJ was playing the Checo Perez card there, holding me up, so I couldn't catch Ray. But, hopefully I'll have the pace. I didn't have it in qualifying, but, the race is different.
Well, Elliott, always a pleasure, man. We saw a lot of fast drivers go home early here. What is your plan to survive the opening lap of the feature?
Not crash. Pretty much.
Oh, easy enough. Well, Elliott, always a pleasure, bud. And whoops, Norman has one more question.
Yes. Now that you take the second step on the podium here in the sprint event, who would you like to thank?
Obviously Salvador. Then you guys too. James leaving at the end of the season. But yeah, you're doing a great job here, and obviously we love Salvador, so he gets a shout out too.
Well, cheers, buddy. We always appreciate you, and best of luck in the feature.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
That was Elliott Cotti bringing it home in second. Up next, we've got old friend, but not a first-time caller. Welcome back, Ray Aguilar, to the top spot. A dominance performance here tonight.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I got kind of lucky initially. My team didn't, but I got kind of lucky initially and got a gap. And I think we pulled away pretty good from that caution. But this toe here is so strong, you got to really get like a full 1.2 seconds away, and hope they don't have the button.
Well, Ray, wanted to ask you this, and you started to try to answer it for me. We noticed that your affiliated team was there helping you out to try to let you get a break on that draft. With Elliott starting in second, what is your plan to try to get away from the draft here at the start of the main event?
I don't. So there's nothing you can do. I basically am gonna try to just push hard on the cold tires. It's gonna take some some stress, and I don't know. I'm hoping maybe like if I can just leapfrog. You got to play nice in this track. Let somebody by if they've got to run. Don't fight them. Just kind of tuck in and use the toe to your advantage. So I'm more focused on that than I am building up a gap. If the opportunity presents itself, then I'm gonna put the hammer down. But don't know that will happen at Watkins Glen. Love this track though. I don't know why it gets a bad rap with cars like this because of the toe and stuff, but man, such a flowy, awesome track. I could drive this all day.
Well, Ray, it's always a pleasure. Good to see you put on our show. And now that you take the top step of the podium, who do you want to give a shout to before you get back out on track and get ready to try and repeat it here at the Glen?
Taco Bell specifically, they kind of fueled my car and gave me enough power tonight. All the boys back in the factory, and TGS for putting on an awesome show and making this all fun for us.
Awesome. Thank you, Ray. Always a pleasure, bud, and best of luck out on track.
I love you too, James.
We love you. All right, Norman, that was the top three: Aguilar, Cotti, Brenner, and the sprint race. Reminder to the fans, it's pinned in the YouTube chat. Go vote. Driver of the Day polls are now up. We're going to run a brief intermission, and we will be right back with more League Zero.
Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out getgoodracing.com. I've coached hundreds of drivers from real-life racers to sim enthusiasts who experience rapid improvement after just one session. And while investing in top-notch hardware is great, imagine how much more you can elevate your experience by adding coaching to the mix. My methods are practical, aiming to break down complex concepts into easily digestible bits that are simple to understand. You can find reviews of the sessions I've conducted on the Fiverr link provided in the video description. Let's elevate your racing skills together.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona and away. Joe for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Rick Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 the lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Welcome back, race fans, to the Inca Salsa Super Formula Series here at League Zero. We are gridded them back up for the feature event. We had 22 cars that started the sprint. Not nearly that many finished it, so it's going to be interesting to see how this one pans out. And I'm also interested as well to see if we have some drivers who do not return here for the feature event. As we've got Norman still up here in the booth. Norman, you hold on to that drink?
Yes, I am. And it will be very sad if we don't have all the drivers return. I might go cry tonight after this broadcast.
That's how I feel after most broadcasts. We're still waiting on Matt Foster, Peter Rettinger, Eric Guillory, Felipe Ramos, and Aguilar to take the grid here. And it's funny, McAllister, who's on the grid, just posted on the YouTube and said, hey, keep an eye out. Finley Fitzsimmons, Jaden Calloway. Those are two very fast drivers starting 17th and 18th that are going to try and get through the field. Looks like we have 20 drivers starting this main event. The lights go off, and can we survive the opening lap? Hey, can we survive the start here at Watkins Glen?
Hey.
A lot of
6 positions off the start. Make
Good.
that 7 now through turn 1.
Callaway is going for it here in the 37 machine. Interesting to see Fitzsimmons playing a little bit safer, but this is where we had incidents in the sprint. The opening lap, guardrails to the left and right. Callaway's got to play it safe here because up front we're side by side for the race lead. Ellie and Conti are going to get into the sweeping right-hander nice and clean. Callaway running 11th. He's got Fitzsimmons right there with him. Oh, this is going to be a good show if Callaway's able to cut through the field here.
Oh, yeah. And we did have Eric. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name because I'm terrible with pronunciations. But he did start from pit road, so we are up to 21 drivers on track.
Good to see Guillory getting out on track. Maybe he has some sort of mechanical, some sort of issue. But glad he's able to get back out there, turn some laps with the other competitors here at League Zero. So Fitzsimmons now up 6 spots, but Jaden Callaway ahead. Oh, we just lost somebody. We lost a few somebodies. McAllister, Delmas, David Iezzi all tied up in that one. Iezzi takes a tow back down pit road. And Eric Guillory was somehow, I think that's going to be a solo incident for the number 95. So he's going to have to retire as well. So we've lost 2 drivers from the start and have whittled it down to 19 drivers out on track as it looks like McAllister comes down pit road under his own power to try and get that machine hammered back into shape.
Yes, he did. And after a terrible start from Fitzsimmons, not to call him out or anything, but he's British, has made his way up 7 position, is on Callaway, and now has just got to pick him off as Callaway picks him off too.
So this is going to be good here. Aguilar's still up front, but now Elliott keeping him right in tow. As there's going to be, I think, if we can keep this up, there's going to be a fantastic amount of racing everywhere we look. If everybody keeps their car out on track, let's pan back over. Jaden Callaway makes his way around Peterson. Now Fitzsimmons going to try and do the same here, but these guys are wasting no time. It's 24 laps, and Callaway picked up his first 7 on the opening lap.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting as there's a mandatory tire rule. How these guys are going to play this, is someone going to come early to get out of traffic and just get clean air and try to run away with this thing?
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be interesting to see if Aguilar can make that happen again. It's going to be a lot of work, I think, to shake off that number 23 machine of Elliott Conti. This is interesting as well. Craig Brick back in 6th. Just set the fastest lap of the race on 123.74. So that number 7, he had great pace in the sprint. Seems to be showing it again in the feature. Some of the fans and fellow drivers were thinking that Brick kind of got robbed out of a podium the race prior. So that's going to be one of about a dozen drivers, I think, looking for redemption.
As we got I don't know what you call that for the lead, but it was almost a massive wreck.
Aguilar and Conti getting a little bit spicy first and second. AJ Brenner sitting in third, watching the battle unfold. There's Antonio Bianchi as well, the number 17 machine. Was able to get a good start following the sprint results. Started in the 5th place position, up 1 spot into 4th, but Now it's a good learning opportunity, able to tuck in behind the guys up front, pick up the draft, and maybe take some notes here.
Take some notes or just sit back and see if they're going to take each other out is my kind of strategy right here. They are getting very racy this early in the race. Didn't expect this early in the main event, but we'll see how this plays out here tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. A quick update. Callaway sitting 8th, Fitzsimmons 9th. So they're being a little bit more careful here, I think, as they're trying to make these passes. Not wanting to put themselves in the vortex of danger. Aguilar leads the field up the hill. Conti 2nd, Brenner 3rd, Bianchi and Fairchild 4th and 5th. As this is where it's going to be just about impossible. Elliott pulls out of the draft. Now Aguilar does not have that draft support. It is just going to be driver versus driver. Aguilar guarding the inside line, trying to force Elliott the long way around, but this sets Elliott up for the next left-hander. Elliott takes over the race lead here. Aguilar, for the first time this race, going to get relegated back to 2nd. Brenner still holds on to 3rd.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, from 1st to 9th, this is still anyone's race. All those positions are in striking distance to win this race if they keep this up.
Yeah, this is going to be super, super interesting to see how this one pans out. Now, Elliott's up in the hot seat knowing that a 2-car draft pass is definitely feasible here if you have a big enough run. But maybe that's going to give Aguilar and Brenner a chance to do a little bit of fuel saving if they're trying to hit certain numbers in this race. As you touched on, there is a mandatory tire stop for all drivers, but there is no refueling the Super Formula machine. So what you start with is what you get for the duration. As Jaden Callaway just clicked off the fastest lap of the race, Shazi Zuhair goes for the undercut, brings that machine down pit road. And it looks like it's going to be Leo Delmas sitting back in 13th, answers the fastest lap. The first driver to get into a 1:22 lap time, a clean 1:22 lap time here at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, that pace is not going to hold up. You're going to probably see the fastest lap come from one of these top guys here late using the draft, if it's still available, if pit stops don't shake this field up and open them back up here later on.
Yeah, I agree. And right now, they're not going to be hot lapping too much as they continue going back and forth for the race lead. Aguilar, the number 1 machine, back out in front. Cotty 2nd, AJ Brenner 3rd. So exactly as it started this race with. Now, it's going to be interesting as well. We've historically seen a lot of different pit strategies here in the Inca Salsa Super Formula Series. Some drivers historically go for the undercut. Some drivers consistently box right at the halfway mark. And then I would say towards the front of the field, it's very common to see drivers waiting until the last opportunity to come down pit road. Getting those fuel tanks as light as possible minimizes the time they spend on those cold tires and can usually result in some pretty fast laps about 3/4 of the way through these feature events.
Yeah, I think if I was sitting on a pit box right now, my ideal strategy would be to box around lap 10, try to find the clean air, and just put down some heaters and some laps to try to over or undercut everyone and build a good 2-second lead and then just manage the race from there.
Yeah, fair. Aguilar, I think, is not going to get the breakaway he was really hoping for, at least until maybe the pit cycles change things up a little bit. Looks like there's a 3-car battle for 3rd as well. You got Michael Fairchild, who was getting chased by Antonio Bianchi, and look who's coming through the field here, Norman. Jaden Callaway has worked that number 7 up into the 6th place spot as he is breathing down the neck of the Italian stallion, Antonio Bianchi.
Yeah, he's worked his way up very well, but you also got to remember that this is now, it looks like 10th place is getting involved. We have a 10-car a 10-place 10-car battle for 1st through 10th now in this race.
Yeah, separated by about 2 seconds from 1st through 10th. That is a freight train of talent we see going into turn 1 at Watkins Glen. Interesting to see that nobody's really been able to get a breakaway here. And this time it was Peterson, that 10th place driver, had the fastest lap of the race, using that draft to its absolute utmost advantage. Up front, Elliott and Aguilar again side by side. Brenner seems to be content watching this unfold. He's going to help his teammate out, or his satellite team, Aguilar, out with the draft. I think we might have just saw some bump drafting there, Norman.
Yes, which I don't know in their rules if it's illegal or not. I know some series say that it is illegal. If it is illegal, they'll have to go back and review that, and we'll see how the penalties come out. But if it's not, fair game to them for being smart like that.
My memory's not great. I've had a lot of concussions over the years. I want to say I remember back when we were still racing Formula 3s that became a common enough issue where the race controls gave a little bit of a wag of a finger. So I'm going to check that out and see if that ever became an official ruling, because when it works, it can work beautifully. But if it doesn't, oh, it can wad some race cars up.
It was an official rule because I was involved in the incident that brought it into being, actually.
That's a good bragging point. Not a lot of people get that.
I think it was Fitzsimmons bump drafting me at Spa, and I had had enough of it, and I fought that got taken away.
Here we go. Sporting Regulations 5.2.17. Bump drafting of any form will not be permitted in this series and may result in a penalty. So we're going to have to keep an eye out on that and make sure drivers are abiding by the rules. And if they're not, at least hopefully not earning the attention of race control.
Right. Well, I'm not a driver anymore, so I can't protest it. Even if I was, I can't protest it if I was not involved. It will have to be someone that was involved in it.
Well, how does that work then, Norman? If the two drivers are working together in bump drafting, there's got to be a loophole for that one.
I think Elliott could protest that as a legal use of a pass.
Okay, since he's involved in the race, he could say he was affected by it, or in that battle for position. That makes more sense, because in my head I was going, well, why would the two cars bump drafting together protest the other guy? But now it makes sense, so I'm on the same page. There's Jaden Calloway's 14th position gained. Fitzsimmons follows him up into the 5th place position. Michael Fairchild down pit road for a bit of an undercut here. 9 laps in. Fitzsimmons had the fastest lap of the race, a 122.94 for the young British driver.
Yeah, and it looks like a little bit of the front breakaway. I don't think they're far enough out to get really away from the top 10, but we'll see how this shapes out.
Yeah, looks like Aguilar had about an 8/10 gap up over Cotti, and Brenner holds it for most of the way down the back stretch. I'm waiting to see if Antonio Bianchi does something wild here. He's within a half second of Callaway and Fitzsimmons, but he's being chased by Craig Brick, who is extremely quick in the sprint. You've also got Christian Judkins and Nick Peterson here. So a lot of drivers fairly matched on pace, trying to make something happen. And Norman, as these laps click off, I think the lap times are only going to get faster.
They will, and I think a driver who comes in a little bit earlier tonight will actually get the fastest lap, because they might be able to find a drafting partner too with good fresh tires that are just coming up to temp as we cycle through pit stops here tonight.
AJ Brenner.
Brenner coming down pit road on lap 10.
And Christian Judkins just No, was that Judkins?
No, that was that
Peterson?
No, it was Peterson that got wadded up, and he is out.
Yeah, he wadded it up. Oh no, who'd he hit? Was that that was Judkins, I think, coming down pit road. Gets slammed by Peterson.
And that's the danger about this pit road, is it is in the apex of the final turn. That caught me out in the 6 hours of the Glen. Luckily, I was able to escape it. But the car behind me was not, because I dodged him and he followed right in behind him.
Yeah, I thought somebody had bent it trying to box, but no, it was Peterson tagged the back left wheel of Christian Judkins, who was coming down pit road. And now we've got a healthy breakaway up front. Aguilar 1.2 seconds up over Elliott Cotti. Fitzsimmons sitting 3rd, Callaway in 4th. But we've got pit cycles underway here, Norman. I'm extremely intrigued to see how things are going to look once the pit cycle is finished. Who's going to be out on track? Who's going to still have a draft partner? And then who might be able to get a clean breakaway and keep those drivers from working together?
I think these guys in these 2x2x2 right now are actually going to hurt themselves with these guys that have come down pit road. If they got on pit road cleanly and got off and can turn some clean, fast laps, I think these other guys racing each other are going to slow each other down too much, and these other guys are going to gain positions.
I think normally I would 100% agree with you. The only caveat here is it looks like it's Fitzsimmons and Callaway that are going to go side by side here, the battle for third. I'm wondering if they both have the racecraft, the championship winning attitude to realize, hey, if we're going to dice it up, we're going to throw away a chance of a podium, if not a win. Maybe those two guys, I would agree. If it was anybody else linked up out on track, I would say they're going to slow themselves down. I'm wondering if these two, both up 14 spots, can maybe make something magical happen here.
Yeah, it's one of those things you just don't know about the driver. You want to try to do the slingshot down the straightaway. Hey, let me go this time. I'll let you go next time. But it looks like Callaway stayed out of Fitzsimmons' draft just to stay in line.
Yeah, it seems like it, and it bears point out as well. Fitzsimmons starting to catch up to his teammate, Elliott Cotti, number 23. Those are two drivers who would absolutely work together here to try and bring home a clean sweep of the podium amongst their teammates. But looks like Elliott gets a little bit breakaway, loses as Fitzsimmons and Callaway lose a little bit of time. They're trying to whittle away at about a 1.2 second deficit they have to that second place driver. And right now, everybody inside the top 10 has yet to box, so there's still plenty of time to shake things up. As look at that, Callaway and Callaway and Fitzsimmons go side by side.
Yeah, it looks like Fitzsimmons coming out of the final turn brushed the wall. So he might have a little bit of damage, or that just slowed him up enough to let Jaden Callaway into the mix.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully that's not the case for Fitzsimmons, who's already had quite the rough night. Had that initial huge incident in the sprint race. And I think you may be right here, Norman. He's closing the gap in the tighter sections here at Watkins Glen to his teammate running second. And as we saw in the long stretch, actually fell back a little bit. But we'll keep an eye out this lap and see if Fitzsimmons may be driving a wounded number 16 machine, as he's got Callaway in front of him now. Maybe he'll be able to get a tow from Callaway and pull himself up forward instead of having to push that air himself.
Yeah, it's looking to me like maybe he just got a little bit unsettled and had to reset, and during that reset moment, he had to give the position up just to fight another day.
Yeah, that'd be very wise. Callaway just had the fastest lap of the race on 122.32. So now we're about to know for certain. Can Fitzsimmons stay in the draft and still have pace? He's about 0.3 off the back of Callaway. So at least in the draft, definitely still has the top end underneath him. But Callaway and Fitzsimmons didn't close up as much as I thought they would to the other British driver, Elliott Cotti, who still holds a very comfortable 0.8 margin to his advantage.
Yes. Also, Brick came down pit road that time. So now Antonio is without a draft partner. So he's got to put down some burners, some laps, and try to get on the pit road and get off cleanly here to try to stay in touch with the top four.
Yeah, that's going to be, it's exactly what we were talking about. Drivers taking different pit strategies on what to do and when to come down pit road. And much like the oval races you and I have been involved in, a lot of the times it's about having the right people around you at the tail end of the race to try and make something happen. Looks like that was Elliott's going to come down pit road, leaving Callaway and Fitzsimmons out on circuit. But man, that is a dicey transition from hot track to pit entry.
Yeah, it looks like these guys are carrying a lot more speed than the GT3s, what I normally run around here, do. In those GT3s, you can take that apex at max speed and then just stay off the throttle and stay on the pit road line, and the other guys will drift out around you. These guys look like they have to brake where these guys are not braking going into that final turn.
Fitzsimmons back up into the second place spot. Aguilar, a healthy 2.7 second gap over the rest of the field here, Watkins, Glen. You've got Jason Bagby coming down pit road as Elliot Cotti and Antonio Bianchi roll back out on track. Looks to be about 6 drivers have yet to pit here, and all eyes currently focused in on the battle for second. Now, you talked about Bianchi and Brick, where they're going to be out on circuit. Bianchi rolls back out on track now with Brick in tow, and what will be the battle for ninth, a 3-car battle for ninth, as Fairchild's in this party as well.
Yeah, Antonio was only on pit road for 37.3 seconds as Brick was on pit road for 37.8 seconds. So Antonio was able to jump him on the overcut. He was able to put down that burner of an in-lap, get on pit road, and get out where he needed to be.
Third place driver, Jaden Calloway, he's down pit road in that 37. Reminder to the fans, he is currently up 15 positions. Also, tip of the hat, 3 drivers, Finley Fitzsimmons, Jaden Calloway, Matt Foster, all showing up 15 spots so far here tonight. Foster's coming down pit road.
On the zone.
Oh no, as there's parts scattered everywhere.
Yeah, and he has major wheel damage.
Yeah, he's going to come down pit road again. Let's see what happened to Elliott here, the number 23. It's in this technical left-hander.
Yeah, it's that boot. Coming out of the boot will kill anyone. It was like he was just too shallow and didn't run it out far enough.
I think most of us can relate to that incident. I think a lot of us have been there at some point in our iRacing careers. So, unfortunately, Elliott tonight most likely over, at least for a strong position. They may be able to get that car back in shape, but that's going to be a big ask, unfortunately, for the 23, who is running so well here tonight.
Yeah, as you have, jumping back in the action, Fairchild getting around Brick to help Antonio out a little bit, but still in tow. Fairchild's still in Antonio's tow, and this is still going to be a 3-car battle for this position.
Something has happened. Brian Dawson off track, missing the front wing of the number 89 machine. He's hopping out of the way to avoid any sort of traffic that he could be involved with. Let's see, maybe a little bit too much curbing, pushes wide, and around she goes.
Yep, touch that grass and you're done. Those back tires spin up, no grip, and she spins the car around.
Felipe Ramos running third. He's down pit road for his one scheduled stop of the evening. Aguilar out front by a country mile, 2.7 seconds in the favor of the number 1 machine. Having a fantastic race. Aguilar came into tonight as the points leader, and he's looking good to extend that points lead, especially if he can grab the back-to-back wins here. We saw Brenner do it last week. The Texas native picking up his both first win and first back-to-back of the night. And speaking of Brenner, has just passed Jaden Calloway for the 3rd place spot. And let's pan back to Fairchild. I think he's still having a very intense battle with Bianchi. Is now Aguilar your race leader down pit road?
As Bianchi just ran a little bit wide. It's going to be interesting. It looks like Fitzsimmons is going to stay out. It's going to be interesting here with Callaway and Brenner going with each other. If they're going to be able to close the gap to Fitzsimmons and keep him out of a pit window, which it looks like it's right around the 37 second to 38 second mark, which I'm not going to fall for the trick that I did at Silverstone and have the gap ruin me. He's only a 35-second lead, but can you get on pit road and off pit road quicker than what the gaps are saying?
We are about to find out as Brenner heads into turn 1. Aguilar looks like he's going to have a healthy advantage here. How does he have that good of an advantage? 6.5 seconds to the good for Aguilar. He is way ahead of the number 80 machine.
Yes, he has our fastest stop of the night with a pit road time of 37.27 seconds, a stop time of 6.78, which is not the fastest stop of the night, but he was on pit road the shortest amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely nailing the start here as the battle for 5th stays heated between Fairchild and Bianchi. Greg Brick running in the 7th place spot in the number 7. We know Brick has excellent pace, but he seems like he's very wisely kind of waiting to see how this battle for 5th unfolds before he interjects himself in the party. He might be thinking, you know what, it's dicey enough with these two in front of me. Let's give myself a little bit of a buffer, a little bit of a safety zone. That way, if somebody happens to run out of talent ahead of me, I can keep this car clean and maybe skate on through.
Yes, very much so. Another update is we got Brenner is 400ths faster a lap right now than Fitzsimmons. So this is going to be interesting to see if Fitzsimmons can hold on to 2nd place or if he's going to be pushed back behind these guys into 3rd or 4th place.
We've got another crash report. It's Felipe Ramos, the boot left-hander. Let's see if it's an instant replay of what we saw earlier for Elliott Cotti. Cotti unfortunately has retired, and yes, it's going to be a mirror incident. Oh, a little bit lighter tap against the safety barrier for Ramos, keeping all the car parts on there. Is I think we're about to go, yes we are, 3 wide for 5th. Brick pulls off another 2 for 1 here, but Bianchi tries to fire back.
As it looks like these guys are slowly catching Brenner and Jaden too. I'm not sure. I've been watching the times.
Yeah, they're about
to get interesting.
Yeah, about 3 seconds back from the battle for 3rd. I'm gonna be very curious. I don't think it's by design. I think Bianchi, Brick, and Fairchild are just racing for the love of racing. I don't think there's any plan there to try and pull up to a top 3. It's just kind of working in their favor with the draft leapfrogging. Slowly whittling away at the gap of a top 3. They might have a chance here. We got about 5 laps left to go. Fitzsimmons has yet to box here, so he's going to stay out way, way late, trying to minimize the time he spends on cold tires. But well, this is going to be interesting. How and when this is going to pay off for certain drivers.
Yeah, right now the gap is showing just under 36 seconds back to Callaway and Brenner, which if he's on cold tires, these guys do not have to pass him while he's on pit road. They just have to have the run up the hill while he's trying to get grip. They will be able to get around him if he waits too long.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a game of patience, but you don't want to wait too long where you let him get those tires up to temp. And the next thing you know, you'll be on the outside looking in.
Yeah. If I was sitting on Fitzsimmons' pit box right now, I would be calling him to pit road now. I want you to be able to get some hot tires and at least fight in case we do not pull this strategy off.
Oh, what happened here? Jace Meyer, Leo Dalmas involved in some sort of big incident. They're side by side. Was that netcode?
That was massive netcode. Or just one of them I don't know which one it was, but one of them got loose and just went across the other's nose.
Yeah, I think Myers in 2nd for the behind car. Dalmas is out front. Oh, that was netcode. That was just a gross amount of netcode for those two. So unfortunately, Meyer and Dalmas will be out of this one. Let's see if Fitzsimmons boxes this time by, because Aguilar has been closing the gap. I think Aguilar's in a good spot here, back-to-back win. He's within 29 seconds of the race leader. I think Aguilar's got a very good shot. I think Fitzsimmons might be staying out too late here.
Yeah, I don't think Fitzsimmons is going for the win. I think he's going for 2nd. Right now, he has built back up to a almost 37-second gap back to Callaway and Brenner. So I think he is going to be okay unless he waits till the final lap to pit, and these guys could attack him on hot tires. I think he has to come this time by.
As we say that, he did set the fastest lap of the race, the first driver into a 1 minute 21 second lap time. Just by a nose, it was a 121.99, but Fitzsimmons doing everything he can to hold the throttle wide and keep the momentum up. But yeah, I'm apprehensive. I would hate to see him snatch a redemption podium away from himself staying out too long.
Yeah, I think Brenner and Callaway are hurting themselves. They need to figure out how to make this 2-car tandem slingshot draft work here around this track because they are losing massive time right now trying to fight for this third position when they could both be. This whole group could sweep the podium here in this race if they play their cards right.
Yeah, and that's the same story from 5th place back. Bianchi, Fairchild, Brick, going all over the place. They lost about a tenth and a half to the 3rd and 4th place drivers on the stretch as they were all out of formation. So that's got to be tantalizingly close for these 5th through 7th place drivers, knowing, hey, I can just see a podium ahead of me, but not quite able to work out how to get up there for them.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to retract my statement as a guy sitting on the top of the box for Simmons. If I was, I'd be telling him, nope, you're doing good. Keep kicking these laps off. We're building a gap. You'll be fine. You'll have, a second or two to play with when you come out of pit road. They will not be able to catch you.
So you're thinking Fitzsimmons might still have a hope of it here?
He'll have a hope for second. He has lost first, is long gone.
Okay, I'm in full agreement with there. Yeah, I think he's got a good chance. And man, what a comeback story that would be for Fitzsimmons, from bending it in the sprint race to suddenly find yourself back on a podium. If Fitzsimmons is able to finish second, that's still 15 positions gained over the course of a feature event. We've just got a couple of short laps left before we're going to be wrapping things up. And this battle from 5th has not given these guys a chance to breathe at all. It has been non-stop action. 22 laps. As there we go, Fitzsimmons is down pit road for his one scheduled stop. Where is this going to put AJ Brenner, Jaden Calloway in the standings? Where will Fitzsimmons be once he's back out on circuit? This is what we were waiting for, Norman.
Yeah, you've got Calloway and Brenner coming out of the boot right now. Fitzsimmons sitting in his box still. This is going to be very, very interesting. Fitzsimmons is rolling now. I think he's going to have these guys by a few seconds, but we'll see as he's coming to the pit line now. And he's cleared the pit line, so now he is back getting up to speed as Ray has got around him. But yes, he's going to have plenty of time to play with a 4-second lead right now on cold tires. I think second place is going to go to him.
Yeah, he's looking really good. 4.6 seconds up over Brenner. That's going to leave Brenner and Calloway fighting for the 3rd place spot. Checking the points here. Brenner sitting 6th in the points. Calloway, after missing a couple of races, sitting 10th. So that's going to be interesting to see how this dynamic shakes itself out. Now, I would be remiss not to mention Aguilar also had the fastest lap of the race, a 121.67 at number 1. He is feeling extremely good here, has a 3-second advantage over Finley Fitzsimmons. Fitzsimmons had one of the slower pit stops we've seen from tonight, but to be able to get back out on track in the 2nd place spot, overcoming such a rough showing in the sprint, I mean, what a complete 180 in the night for the young British driver.
Oh yeah, I have to say his engineer played the cards smarter than I did. He saw what his hand was. I didn't. I tried to call his bluff, and it failed miserably here tonight.
So now it's going to be the battle for 3rd and the battle for 5th as the white flag is out here at Watkins Glen. Aguilar still your race leader. There's Barney, our flagman, waving the white for Brenner and Calloway. 3rd and 4th, you pan just a little bit further back. That is still Bianchi, Brick, and Fairchild playing a game of the draft lottery here. Bianchi's in the hot seat. We've seen Brick make a 2-for-1 pass earlier here tonight. We're going to go just ahead. Calloway and Brenner side by side as we get ready. Here comes that battle for 5th into frame. Calloway up into 3rd. Let's see who defends here. Bianchi's guarding the I guess, camera left, but driver's right side of the track. Brick's going to try the long way around here. Is Fairchild going to try and make a move? Yes, Fairchild looks to put his nose in against Brick. Not going to be able to quite get it in there, though, as everybody stays in the same spot for a little while longer.
Yeah, and back up to Brenner and Calloway. It looks like Calloway has got a little bit of a breakaway. It's going to take a mistake by him to let Brenner back into this one, which I think we just had, but Brenner goes in too deep and is not able to capitalize there.
Crossing the line, it's Ray Aguilar, the back-to-back here at Watkins Glen. Fitzsimmons looking very comfortable for a second. Aguilar just clicked off on 121.55, the fastest lap of the race. So it's going to be Aguilar, Fitzsimmons, Callaway, 1, 2, 3. Here's the battle for fifth. How does that shake down? With Antonio Bianchi.
Yes, and it'll stay Antonio Brick and Fairchild.
There you go, some more $1 million cars.
Yep. I will have to tell you, I know we had a lot of people giving this track a hard time this week, but I will have to tell you that put on a heck of a race here tonight.
We're going to get these drivers up here to victory lane. Get ready to start the party off. We've got Callaway. He's in the waiting room already, so we're waiting on Fitzsimmons and Aguilar. Well, looks like we got everybody, so we're going to do the same thing we did last time, where Norman asked the drivers a question, I asked the drivers a question, and then we're going to hear about some sponsors queued up by Norman. So let's get things started with Mr. Jaden Callaway. Jaden, a night of redemption, up 15 spots, finally getting some points back to your name after missing a couple rounds, and man, it's good to have you back up here.
Yeah, it's good to be back. First race didn't go how we wanted to at all, but it's all right. We managed to make a decent comeback in the second, so I'm happy.
You got a heck of a start there, Callaway, on the start of this race, and I was like, you were going to tear through this field. You got ahead of Fitzsimmons, but he was able to beat you on pit strategy. What happened there?
Yeah, I was hoping AJ and I could kind of leapfrog up to the guys ahead, but he ended up pitting, so without the draft, I kind of lost a lot of time to him, and then I decided to pit a little bit early, and it was just the wrong decision.
Well, Jaden, always a great time having you back up here. Glad to see the night turned around. Before I let you go and unwind from this one, who do you want to give a shout to that helped make this redemption third possible?
I'm going to shout out my team, Squid Gang Racing, and I'm going to shout out my teammates.
Awesome. Jaden, always a pleasure, bud. Good to have you back up here.
Thanks.
That was Jaden Callaway bringing it home in the third place position. Up next, we've got Finley Fitzsimmons, the number 16 machine. Finley, we were talking to Jaden, but both of you guys, a night of redemption, 15 spots back to your name, and able to salvage a little bit of a night.
Yeah, I just want to say sorry, obviously, to Jaden for that first lap incident. It's just single monitor, not rank glasses things. But yeah, it was straight away. I was just thinking, how can I get through everybody? And it's such a draft train out here. Like, you need to break away from someone by such a margin to be able to stay ahead. It's incredible. But luckily, the gaps were between the cars anyway were quite small, so it was quite easy. Well, I say easy, but there wasn't massive gaps to gain through the race. We tried the alternate pit strategy and stay out as long as we could to minimize time on cold tires, and it did skew us the P2. But we did lose a little bit of time to Ray at the end. But no, it was a good race, and I'm happy I tried it. And yeah, a lot of positives to take from that one for sure.
Well, Fitzsimmons, I had some questions for you, but you go ahead and answered them without me asking them. So, with that being said, who would you like to thank tonight?
Massive thank you to you guys in the broadcast booth. Massive thanks to everybody for putting on a great feature race there. Thank you for Elliot as well for sending some messages and helping out with the strategy near to the end of the race. Thank you to the stewards as always, and yeah, hopefully we'll be up there next week as well.
Well, cheers, Finley. Always good having you up here, buddy. Congratulations on the redemption and a solid second.
Thank you, James. Yeah.
And that was Finley Fitzsimmons bringing it home in second. But up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Aguilar, making it back-to-back here at Watkins Glen. You set up the sprint. You were smooth. The track was flowing. An absolute vibe, as the kids say, and picking up the big back-to-back.
Yeah, the kids say, you know, there's a lot of riz going on there. That's how I know, because I'm young and I'm a kid like that.
Word.
I'm sitting on I'm glad. I think I got fast lap, and I might have gotten it all. I hope. I don't know. I was kind of hoping it would come out like that. I actually was interested to see where Elliot was going to end up. I guess he had a mistake though, huh? Elliott. Yeah, he's 16th. Man, I lost track of everybody out there. Anyway, sorry.
Norman,
How
how
are you
long
guys
do you
doing?
think? Norman, how long do you think we can let him talk for?
I don't know. I'm sitting there going, is he gonna even let me ask a question? Is this gonna be the Fitzsimmons? Same thing, just hey, well, thanks for coming up here. Thank your sponsors, but really, on all serious notes, Ray, we talked earlier, and you said that you didn't know how you were gonna build a gap. I really want to know how you did build that gap in the main event here tonight.
So it's about the third back and forth. I got by. I saw a slight bobble. Like I think Elliott was coming out one of the corners, had a little bit of a slide. I picked up about 2/10, which put me at about 7/10 off. And so I just turned the button on, and I built it up to 1 second, so that way the next time we hit that straight, he wouldn't get such a toe. And then from then on, it was just heads down consistency to try to keep that gap from getting smaller. This was definitely a button race tonight. Everybody was complaining about it. And yeah, this is why we have the chicane. We need to start running that. That sort of breaks it up and keeps us from having those problems.
Well, Ray, super cool to have you back up here back to back. You're further extending the points lead you came into tonight with. An excellent run. But before I let you go, sign off, celebrate, who do you want to give a shout out to that helped make it happen here tonight at Watkins Glen?
I want to thank my team for helping me out. It was a lot of strategy session tonight and a lot of working together to try to get to salvage what we could out of the night. And I think we did we did the best we could with what we had. I want to thank Antonio for putting all the hard work into this league and keeping it running. We had a good grid tonight, a decent race, and I think that he deserves a hand clap, handshake, high five, that kind of thing. And then also the last thing, I want to thank Inca Salsa for sponsoring the league. And I would ask James to tell everybody what he thought of it. It wasn't you that bought some or got some?
Yeah. I was actually a fan of Inca Salsa before they came on as the title sponsor. So I picked up a big, like a 6 or 8 variety pack last year. And I'm not a big salsa guy, but I mean, this stuff is good. That was actually my lunch yesterday was chips and Inca Salsa.
Yeah, I'm hoping to try it soon, and I've heard we might even be able to start using it as fuel in the cars, so they'll save us a little bit of money on gas, and it should be awesome. This the hot stuff at least should work really well.
Well, that's what they call you, Ray. Again, good to have you back up here, my friend. Hopefully, we'll have you back up after the off week, and always a pleasure talking to you.
Yep, we'll see you guys. Oh, actually, I won't be here next time, so you probably won't. But yeah, thanks for having me tonight. Love you guys. See you.
We love you too, buddy. Norman, that was Ray Hot Stuff Aguilar bringing it home in the top spot. Good he's finally got a nickname after all these years.
Oh, yeah. It was a great race here tonight. I don't understand why we can't run this track every week. It keeps for exciting racing. I would like to see the chicane, as he said, come into play. I think that would dice things up a little bit. But would also like to thank another sponsor here tonight is MSR Performance Engineering. Call them for all your performance needs.
Awesome. Very well said. In the feature result, it was Ray Aguilar, Finley Fitzsimmons, and Jaden Calloway ran out the top 3. On behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, my name has been James East, accompanied by the world-famous Norman King. Thank you all so much for tuning in, supporting the show, supporting the series, as well as supporting the broadcast. As a reminder, we are off next week for July 4th, but we'll be right back after that. Have a great night, everybody.